Let me set things up. Let's see here. Yes, excellent. So before we begin, I have a few things I need to say. Also, wow, this is... Oof. Kind of hard to... I wonder why it's lagging like that. I imagine it's like... To record, I have to turn off an option in Chrome. And that's probably causing this. Which is unfortunate. I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but... Very choppy. But oh well. This is kind of what we deal with. So anyways... I am back. Hello. So, what happened last time? So there's a few things I need to correct. So first of all, the last playtest, first of all, these two, Rochelle and Nox. Hang on a moment. Rochelle and Nox, they have spell casting, like they took spell casting feats. So they actually both have 11 max mana right now, not 10. Minor change, wouldn't have made a difference to them anyway. The slightly more important difference is that when Nox used a cone ice move, or the big freezing burst that did a lot of damage to all those goblins. So I forgot that when you use a damaging spell or damaging spell component with a area form component, a multi-targeting form component or whatever, that actually lowers the damage die by 1. So that D8 should have been a D6. That was my bad. That's a fairly minor thing, really. Those are like the major things I need to mention. But since we're back, we get to fight more creatures. At least we'll try to. This thing is a little nuts, so I'm going to open up the kobolds. So we're going to fight some kobolds. How's that sound? Kobold seems like a good thing to fight, right? Yeah. Switch back over. First of all, we're going to get rid of these guys. Bring one kobold down here. And I need to actually set this up real quick. So kobolds have 23 hit points each. Mana is not necessary for them. So these guys are 1-slot creatures. So for every player, there's intended to be one kobold. Basically, so 4 and 4. Or I could swap a kobold out with 2 goblins. Make sure to mark them so it's possible to tell them apart. I don't want that there. And there we go. So if you saw the last stream, you know the basics, or if you've played in the games with me, you know the basics. Fairly simple, standard stuff. You have here. So we need to figure out what to actually roll here. So kobolds have an initiative score of +4. So we're just gonna roll that. All right. Yes, that. Also that. So they got a 13. So that would give everyone else. Should be. Oh, why am I so bad? 4, 5, 3, 4. And 4. Okay, so Mitty has a 19. Nox got an 18. Rochelle got a measly 12. And Sid got 14. We organize these. Where did go? Okay, now we're in order here. Kobolds versus the players, or player party. You start with Mitty here. So we have a bunch of kobolds. They are fairly basic. They don't have any special sort of abilities other than the fact that they are armed with a club and a sling each. So they actually have a ranged attack now, unlike the goblins who were only equipped with knives. They have more health, since they're a higher slot count than the goblins were. Which will make things a little bit more interesting. So we'll see how this goes. So Mitty is first. Wow, that's slow. Okay, so Mitty has a land speed of 6, and she has a fire breath ability as one of her moves. So I want her to move forward to about there. Her fire breath has is a 5 radius cone, so that means it can go out 5 units total, and it's 90 degrees, so it can do basically that. She can hit that with her fire breath. That's all the kobolds, and this is stupidly reckless, but there's a lot of characters who go before all the kobolds, so I think she's going to be fine, because once everyone else is in, they'll be able to deal with that. So magic charisma is a +4. Is versus their fortitude, which in the kobolds have only a fortitude of 14. So they're lower. They are. That's roughly what. Or is it evasion? God dang it! I forgot that. Yeah, it doesn't switch that. So it's evasion that's going through. So it's after against a 16. It sounds weird because if you're used to Pathfinder, you know that this shouldn't be much confusion for me, since normally big explosions target evasion, but that is actually not that common in this system. Most area of effects abilities target fortitude. Evasion's actually more for projectiles and lines and walls and such, not explosions. The idea I had there was just that. You're not ducking out of the way of a fireball or an explosion. Simply because it spreads out far too fast. Whereas a projectile is a much smaller sort of area and you can more easily step aside. That's how that, so that's the reasoning, but okay, so she does not hit with her fire breath and she has to recharge for 1 round. Okay, so she is, that's fine for her. 1 round is easy. So that actually, so she'll recharge, so she'll have it charged, I think next round actually. Or will be the round after. Like the round after, yes. Anyways. Then we have Nox is gonna go next. This guy. So I let them full heal beforehand. Oh, this is, I did something wrong here. What happened to snap the corner? I don't know if you can see that because it's a sort of a mini window on top of things, but if you can, we're missing stuff. So he can only move 3. I'm going to have him move twice and attempt a freezing grasp again. Because that seems to be more effective than him actually swinging at things. If we look at his offense, his magic of intuition. This is intuition, not intelligence. Logic, intuition, charisma. This is important. That is an important difference between this and Pathfinder and D&D. So from there, we have a +7 as his primary sort of freezing grip. And since this is a single target ability, he will not take a damage penalty to it. And he is against the fortitude of these kobolds, which is a 14. And he easily gets it. He rolls a 23, so he spends his 1 mana and he deals 1d8 plus 6 damage. Ice damage. Which the kobold does not resist, but it rolls minimum damage, so 7 damage. I hope that's not I hope this doesn't happen like every test where we just keep rolling minimum damage, but hard to say. So that brings us to Sid. So Sid here. Sid has a range of 6. So he does actually need to move forward. But he is going to stay. Wait. How far can he move? He can move up to 5. Yeah, he can make it. So he's going to move up behind Midi. And he's going to attempt to dual strike red. Or rather, yes, we'll have him dual strike red. Oof. The lag. Lag is real. Anyways, dual strike. So he has, so it'd be 6 then 3. And he could fire 1 more time if he feels like it. Actually, I'm gonna have him fire 1 more time. Because might as well. And that is not a crit. He only rolled a 15. Which is still pretty good. But then his other shots are 9 and 8. So he hits the first shot on the kobold. That is 1d10 plus 1. And he deals 9 damage. This one's on 14, this one's on 16. Alright, so now the kobolds get the move. which is not a good time for most of these people. I think one's gonna move forward and attempt. Actually, I'm gonna have him try to move back and hit Sid, because Sid actually hit someone. So that is one move for red. Blue will move forward. Actually, does blue need to move forward? No, he will not. Blue and green are going to stay stationary because they have slings and they're going to use that. So they're going to switch to their slings, which is one action. Or, yeah, they drop their clubs as a free action and then they draw their slings. So they are now wielding their slings, and red and purple are now using their melee attacks, or their clubs. So their attacks are +5 for melee attacks and +6 for range attacks, but they deal very little damage. It's a 1d3 and a 1d2 respectively. This is level 1, or they're level 0 technically, so they're still like below the curve, which is what's going on here. So red can only hit twice. That's +5. And it is a 2d10 +2. That's 2 for them. Then we have purple can actually hit 3 times. Though I don't expect them to be able to do much. Now, since blue and green spent time pulling out their slings, they each can only make 2 attacks, but they have a 2 hit because they're using their better stat to actually hit something. I'm gonna have them basically they're both gonna sling at Nox because Nox is the only one close enough. I wish I could just throw a bunch of dice out, but eh. Okay, so red hits once, purple hits twice. I think Nox is going to use his reaction to raise his shield. That brings his defenses up to 18, which allows him to block green and blue. Well, blue didn't hit anyway, but green now doesn't hit anything. So green and blue don't hit at all. Red hits once and purple hits twice. So Sid takes 2 damage. Yeah, I know, high rolls here. I know. And and then Nox takes 3 damage. And that is the kobold's turn. So far, they're not that strong. I mean, these are meant to be weaker. These are explicitly meant to be weaker than the players. This is a very easy encounter, or should be. The fact that the goblins did better was due to their numbers and the fact that they got pretty lucky with their attacks. Anyways, Rochelle finally gets to go. It's finally her turn. So last time we just had her hit things while angry. But she does have magic. So I'm actually going to have her cast Ironhide on herself. So I'm going to actually talk about sort of how magic works. Because I glossed over it a bit in the last one. So essentially, as you can see here, for Rochelle specifically, she knows these forms. She knows the personal, adjacent, beam, and cone form. And she knows these effects. Granite Plate, Corrode, Bind Wounds, Ironhide, and Dissolve. She actually only knows these. These are just for future reference. She'll gain more over time. So the way magic works is that you basically take forms and effects and you chain them together. Rochelle is not currently with low level, so Rochelle and Nox aren't going to be able to do much because there are limits. Like I said, they have a maximum complexity and a maximum length. Their length is, for both of them, should be 4, which means they can only chain 4 components together in a row before that's too much. Not that they probably have trouble filling those in, though, because their max complexity is both 3, which means that this number, 2, 4, 7, these numbers, the total of that cannot be, the total of that between all the components cannot be greater than 3 for them. Wizards get, I think wizards get +1 and performers also get +1 to that. But for most spellcasters it is a 3 to start off with. That will raise over time, but for now it's just 3. So the reason that it's like 1/3/5 is that each component, or a lot of these components, have multiple levels or grades. So she knows corrode, which means she knows the base, advanced, and mastered versions. The base costs 1, advanced costs 3, and mastered costs 5, complexity-wise. Which is why in the description here you see D8, D10, D12. D8 is base, D10 is advanced, D12 is mastered. She could actually do an adjacent corrode at advanced, because that would match, that would still be within her complexity rating. But she wouldn't be able to do it, but she'd only do it once in a round, because I believe I mentioned in the last session that when the complexity of the spell you are casting is less than half your maximum complexity, you are able to cast that spell for 1 action point instead of the usual 2. Most of the time it will be 2, but if you are throwing out smaller spells, you'll be able to throw out a lot more of them. So it's not worth her time to throw out an advanced corrode when she can throw out 3 like little corrodes if she wanted to. Right, at the moment, she is not great at her magic, or rather hitting things with her magic. She does not have a magic focus, which means she would not be able to hit, which means she's unlikely to hit very often with her magic right now. And you can see a note on the sheet saying, hey, recommended, pick up magic focus if you want to use that. And this is incorrect here. Oh well. That sort of gives you an idea of what's going on here. So she can combine personal, which always targets herself, and then she'll add Ironhide to that, which means she will cast the effect Ironhide on herself. It is possible to chain multiple forms and effects together. Like she could use beam and then cone to start a cone further away from her with effects. Though at the moment she does not have enough complexity to do that and have an effect of some sort, because 1 and 2 would immediately eat up her complexity and she would not be able to fit anything else. And she does not have Eldritch Focus, unlike Nox. Nox has Eldritch Focus, which allows him to boost his max complexity. So personal, Ironhide, so she will gain physical resistance equal to half her spellcasting score. We go to core. Her spellcasting score is charisma because she is using sorcery, and that is what charisma keys off of. And it looks like she will get, you actually only get one physical resistance, which is unfortunate, unless she can cast the higher version. She cannot cast the higher version yet, because that would get her physical resistance 3. But for now she'll get. But for against kobolds who are only doing 1, 2, 3 damage, 1 physical resistance is pretty useful. So she will cast that, and that will have a complexity of 2 total. I'm gonna mark that somewhere. There. So she now has 1 physical defense. 1 physical resistance. Now, that also costs 2 mana. The complexity of a spell is equivalent, it determines its mana cost. Mana cost is equivalent to complexity. Okay, so she spent 2 AP setting that up. So now she is going to actually move forward. And she's just going to get behind this red guy, and that will be her turn. So now we're back to Midi. She cannot use her Fire Breath this turn quite yet. But she does still have her dual wielding. So she has her daggers out. She is going to move. Actually, she does not even need to move. But she could get. Actually, she doesn't even need to move to get sneak attack. She's flanking with Rochelle. This is a very good spot for her to be in. We look at her. She has dagger. So her finesse is 6. And she has dual strike, which means she can spend an action point to strike twice instead of just once. And she has force and opening, which is pretty good if she can hit both her dual strike attacks. We will see though. Kobolds have 15 armor. Yes, 15 armor. So she'd have to hit both. She'd have to get above 15 on both her attacks. So we're gonna just make, we're gonna go all out 4 whole attacks. If she can do that, because her first action is spent doing a dual strike, and then her remaining actions are spent just swinging. Though it's gonna be pretty hard for her to hit, and she actually only hits once, and it's not even one of the first attacks. She rolled a 12, an 11, an 8, and a 16. So she didn't even hit her. So her dual strike was not even useful here. Regardless, but still, she gets sneak attack. I don't think she has any debilitations. She has hamstring, but I don't think she'll do that here because she's not worried about this kobold running away. After all, they are a melee fighter, so we go back here, d6 and d4. So 1d6 plus 5 plus 1d4. And she deals 12 damage. She actually rolled decently. Okay, so now actually using hamstring would have been a good idea because now the kobold is on very low HP. It probably doesn't want to stick around. So now Nox's turn. Currently, Nox does not have much reason to just sit around here. So he can do that Cone Ice ability again. Or we can look more at his magic. So, right, so Nox, so Rochelle was sorceress magic. Nox uses divine magic. And as you can see, it's a bit different as what's going on here. So what you're looking at is basically his prepared, so unlike sorcerers, he learns basically like he has 5 main domains plus the universal sort of school group. This is basically how magic is sort of split. But he has 5 domains due to his choice of, I guess, ideal or religion or however you want to call it. He chose order as his sort of ideal to draw power from. So he has Aether, Earth, Life, Void, and Water. So he knows all of these, but he only has access to 2 of them at a time, and he chooses which 2 after a long rest. Basically after he sleeps. So he has prepared Life, which gives him a lot of healing abilities, but also lets him do luminous damage. Not too useful here. These kobolds are not weak to that. Luminous damage is basically holy damage. You can think of it that way. However, his other domain is water here, which gives him access to water and ice types of magic. If you remember at Rochelle, you can see like the field here. These are fields of magic. You can see that as a sorceress, Rochelle is free. Rochelle has a lot fewer components that she has access to, but she is free to pick from basically wherever she wants. You can see earth a few times, you see ruin twice, and you can see blood here already. And she also has a few forms from universal, which is another field. So while Rochelle has fewer than than Nox, Nox has sort of a theming restriction, if you will. There are actually feats that can mess with this a bit. I think a really late feat allows them to prepare 3 at once, which is a lot of flexibility. There's one that lets him add another domain, just straight up add. And there's one that lets him replace one of his existing domains with a new one. Like he could eventually replace Earth with Death instead. Something a little more thematic to Mr. Icy Skeleton Man. So he currently has life and water prepared. Admittedly, life probably shouldn't have prepared life. Aether would have been better. Aether has a lot of like force and etherealness and sort of telekinesis sort of things going on with it. And it has a lot of useful buffs. Or Void, but Void is more for like later levels. Because Void is time and space, and that has haste as an option. Like if I switch over to it. I'm really proud of this sort of switching here. It took a long time to set up though, so it'll be a while before I can set up for like other domains, hopefully to help players, but we'll see. So you can see haste is here, but it's complexity 9 or 18. So you're not going to be able to see that for a while. But Void has a lot of like spatial and temporal nonsense going on. He actually can't use a lot of these spells yet. I think the most he can manage is a 4, and that's if he's using Eldritch Focus. So Void is very much like kind of a bit of an investment currently. Haste is definitely worth it though it's not the only place you can get haste. The fields do overlap. It's just some things thematically work in multiple places, but what can you do? It helps divine casters though, because they're restricted to fields, whereas other casters are not. So anyway, he has life and water sort of prepared. These enemies are not weak enough that I don't feel the need to really have to debuff them in any way. I can hit people with water, he can hit people with ice, he can freeze their flesh, he can create water or ice. He can't do a whole lot with create ice because he doesn't have much by way of large spanning form components. Once a little later though, ice will be a little more useful. For now, it's not that great. Well, it has some utility, but you can't do too much with it in combat. Life is completely pointless here because no one's really been hurt that bad. They probably won't get hurt that bad. We are going to try we're going to try a trick from the last one. Cone Frostbite again. It worked well on the goblins. It should hopefully work here. So Cone goes out. In this case, if I can stop messing around, Cone has a radius of 4. There's a bigger version, of course, but this is all he needs. So he'll hit everyone with that. So this is going to take 2 AP to perform this. And Frostbite is, so it's going to be 1d6 instead of 1d8 because he's using an area effect. This is, again, I mentioned this at the beginning, but I missed this in the start, or the last session. So he is a 7 to attack, I believe. Correct offenses, yes. So he's going to try to hit purple, blue, and green. So they're going to greatly regret standing in place. And yeah, 21 definitely hits them. So that has 1d6 plus 6, I believe. 1d6 plus 6 because it's being reduced. They all take... Oh, I got the wrong tool out. They all take 8 damage. So that does indeed freeze them quite a bit. Oh, I should also mark that Midi can Fire Breath again next turn. So Nox can do one more thing. That cost him, I believe, 3 AP or 3 mana. He's just gonna swing, I think. Actually, no, he is going to just... What should he have him do? Attacking would not be very helpful right now, because he's going to be using his 3rd initiative, and that is very low at the moment. It's a -1 for his brute, and a 1 for his magic. Well, if we look at his other magics, he could... What can he do to himself? Huh. Really should not have prepared life this day. Alright. Yeah, he's going to raise his shield and end his turn. He doesn't feel... Actually, no, he's just going to swing. It might as well, right? Doesn't cost him anything. It is a -1 versus 15. And he rolls a whopping 3. So, you know, he does not hit. And then we move on to Sid. So what Sid wants to do is just get rid of red. Oh yeah, he's shot like thrice, didn't he? How many times did Sid shoot? Gosh, I do not remember now. Oh yeah, he shot thrice. So he reloaded at the end of his turn because he has reaction reload. So he has 3 shots right now. He's not going to lead with a dual strike. Actually, yes, he will lead with a dual strike. He'll try to hit red and purple. Actually, no, people are in the way for that. He's just going to shoot red first, and then he's going to try to move and then dual strike again. He's going to save his dual strike until he has more vision on what he's doing. So 6. So he's shooting at red. That is a crit, actually. He rolled a 24, which is a natural roll of 18 plus 6. So he crits the kobold that only has 2 HP left. And deals 1 less than max damage. So that is 20 damage immediately. He headshots the kobold. And the kobold is dead. Was there a reason for this? Was there a reason to crit the kobold when it only had 2 HP? Not really. But this is the world we live in. So now he's going to try to back up and get a clear shot of the other kobolds. So he's going to back up here, and he's going to dual strike. Here we go. So now he's attacking it slightly less than normal, which is a shame, but oh well. He's got iteratives, so we'll try. He does actually hit once. And it's another crit. It appears that he is fairly upset with how the last session went, so he's now making up for it. So yeah, he rolled an 18 just flat, and that's enough for a crit. And he hit the purple with it. So he also now 2d10 plus 1 damage and rolls exactly 8. So now purple is unconscious or dead or whatever. So there we go. Immediately just shot something. So Sid did quite a bit, and he's going to. So he used up his last bullet. So he's going to use his hasty reload to reload again. I'm going to check something. He does not have the other reload. Oh no, he has running reload. Yes, so he can actually. So he can actually get up to 4 bullets again because he moved, so he would have been able to reload during that. So he's fully reloaded again. Alright, let's see here. Now we're back to Cobbs. So blue and green are not in a good position, so they're going to move. They're going to stay away. They're going to get away from the whoops. No, thank you. Wrong one. They are going to move the heck away from the angry skeleton man. And this guy needs to move forward like one more. There we go. The blue is going to make 2 sling attacks against Rochelle, and green is going to make 2 sling attacks against Sid, because Sid seems to be the most threatening person here. I get next to Nox. Actually, yeah, Nox and Sid seem to be the most threatening right now. Rochelle has not actually attacked yet. So we're going to make 2 strikes against Sid. And 2 strikes against Rochelle. So first of all, green gets a 17 and a 13. I believe Sid has. I think that's at least 1 hit. Okay, his armor is 15, so he takes 1 hit. So we're gonna just do that now. Sid takes. He takes 1 damage. Oh boy. Averages are really low at this stage, aren't they? Hopefully level 1 creatures will be a little more challenging. Or level 2. Level 2 might be it. Gosh, I have a really nuts creature at level 3. I recall in like the first play test in the Quartz branch, like this level 3 guy dropped on top of a player and just mauled him, his character, in like 1 round, immediately killed. So that was interesting. Though the math has changed a little, so we'll see how that goes for our mystery creature. But the more interesting thing right now is that blue here rolled a 20 and a 21. The 20 was a natural roll of 14 with a attack modifier of 6. The second roll was 8 plus 10, so 18 plus their modifier of 3 because of the iterative penalty. So that was a crit. So Rochelle got a hit and a crit because Rochelle only has 17 armor. Actually, I say only has 17 armor. That is a lot of armor. So Rochelle gets hit twice. Now it's a sling, so it's like only 3d2 damage total. I actually have to keep track. Since she has physical resistance, I actually have to keep track. So the kobold deals 1 and 2 damage. However, since Rochelle has physical resistance of 1 currently, she takes 0 damage from the first attack and only 3 damage from the second attack. So resistances basically just a subtraction from each attack. 1 isn't very high, but it's also against physical defense at level 1, so it's like, well, no problem there. I think Midi actually has fire resistance of 1 as well. If I go back to her core, yeah, she does. Vulnerability is something else. You won't see it here because none of the low-level creatures have ice attacks. I don't think any of the level 0 enemies has elemental damage. I think they're all physical. Yeah, if Rochelle had taken a Mystic Heritage, Elemental Surge. I have not used Elemental Surge. I should do that. That's a fun ability. Plus more physical damage. Anyways. That goes to Rochelle. So she is going to enable Rage, move forward, and make a single attack. I'm hopefully the match will not last long enough for her rage to run out because I am not going to be able to keep track of it for very long. So she's going to do +9 because of her rage. 17. She actually rolled pretty low, but she still hits. Rage does not add to damage, though there are ways for her to get rage to damage. Right now it's just brute rolls, so basically she hits harder currently. Though there is a feat that lets her add her strength or something, yeah, her strength to damage. But she doesn't have that yet. So she hits ridiculously hard. 1d10 plus 6. And that is 14 damage. This kobold only has 1 hit point left. And there is a giant rock lady bearing upon him. He will not last long. We are back to Mitty, who can now fire breath again, but I do not think she's going to do that. I think she is just going to move down to this dumb kobold and just go to town. We're just going to use her sword. We're going to use her knives or daggers. So it's a 6-3-0. Because she has dual strike, she can hit all 3 times, or she can attempt 3 times. And she scores a crit. Apparently, this is the crit session of the test, because this is the I want to say the fourth crit I think we've seen. Sid's gotten at least 2. A kobold got 1, and now Mitty has 1. She also hits her for second attack, but I think it's not going to last very long. She does not get sneak attack because she is not in a situation where she could use it. So it's just going to be 1d6 plus 5, then a 2d6 plus 5 for those 2 hits. So she deals 6 and 16 damage. So yeah, that's a dead kobold. There's only 1 left. Nox is going to just fire a bolt of ice at him. We're just going to roll. It's actually against evasion, so that's going to be a little harder. He's using a lot of mana to do this, though, but he can rest between fights to gain a little bit back. The specifics of that are, I don't think I'm going to go into them too much during the test. That mechanic of short and long rest did not change between Quartz and Halite branches. But basically, each character has a set of recovery points, and they can spend an hour to basically expend those points to gain some health and mana back. It's pretty basic. I think Dungeons & Dragons 4 uses it, and I want to say 13th Age has something like that. Yes, I believe 13th Age has it. Actually, I think I'm basing it off 13th Age's system. So there you go. If you don't know what 13th Age is, it's a pretty neat little game. Simplistic and definitely very combat oriented. Like there are not very many out of combat abilities there. Granted, so is this game. It's pretty heavily in combat as well. Anyways, let's roll this attack. 22. Yep, that does indeed hit the kobold. So it is going to take 1d8 plus 6 ice damage. And that is 10 ice damage to the face. The goblin is frozen over and is dead. So that was much faster than the goblins. I'm going to just delete these guys. Those were the goblins. Or not goblins, those were the kobolds. That was much faster. We got that done in like 50 minutes. Way faster than usual. I can just toss dice is probably even faster. But that's how it is. So we're going to full heal and prepare for the bees. The bees are going to be interesting because just because they're another half slot creature, so there's going to be a lot of them, unless I stick a kobold in there or for some reason. We'll see. You have your mana back, health back. You lose that. You go back up to 18. You do not get hit at all. Oh, wrong button. There we go. So these two do have mana, I should point out. They do actually have mana, they just have nothing that they can use it with. They don't have any magic items, so they can't make use of magic, and they don't have any casting abilities. The Fire Breath does not take mana. Since they aren't casters, they have 10 mana. It doesn't seem like much of a difference, but that does start to sort of spread out, as these guys will get mana faster than these guys, so eventually they'll just have a lot more mana than these. And heck, Nox might... Actually, I don't think Nox will invest in increasing that even further, because doing that will dock his health if he keeps going. So he's going to stay level with Rochelle, I believe, at least for future levels. Unless he really wants to invest in taking that, and then another feat to take mana increase, and then take another major feat to take health increase to neutralize it. I'm pretty sure actually no, the health increase does not do that. Does not damage mana, though there is a way to do that again. Theory crafting, lots of theory crafting. Theoretically, he could go into blood magic instead, or take the blood price sort of feat to basically draw from HP instead of mana to cast spells, but that would be a mess, I think. Or rather, I don't think he's gonna want to do that if he's taking hits all the time. We'll see. Giant freaking bees. I don't need that, so I'm gonna knock these out. So giant bees are the other monsters. Let me pull their sheet up. You won't be able to see it, but that's fine. Oh wait, no, giant bees are not here. It's giant spiders next. Whoops, my mistake. Giant bees are level 1, so you don't see them yet. These are normal friggin' spiders. No, actually, I'm going to skip the spiders, because that's another... Yeah, I'm going to save the spiders for when the female comes up, because this male giant spider is a lot smaller, and the giant female spider is meant to be fought with a bunch of males by her side. So we're going to actually just go to a different fight. We're going to go up to zombies instead. Get rid of that bee. Go be gone, bee. The deal with zombies is that they are a bit different. So the kobolds and goblins are listed as each creature has a listed role, sort of like just to help game masters sort of figure out what creatures are meant for what. Basically, kobolds and goblins are considered fodder creatures. They have no special perk. They're just there to be punched in the face. That's basically what level 0 is mostly at. The giant spiders are actually considered disruptors because they don't deal much damage. They're meant to mess with things. They're meant to mess with the players and sort of disrupt their abilities. That zombies are considered bulwarks. They are basically sponges. They take more hits than normal. They're harder to take down. They have a lot more health, generally speaking. I think for this specific instance, they only have 33 health, but they're only level 1, so yeah. Actually, check the math behind that. Why do they only have 30 health? Because that's basically as high as I'll let them go. All right. Yeah, zombies have like 30 HP total. They don't do too much damage. Well, they do more damage than any of the level 0 creatures. So they hit harder than the kobolds, definitely. Just not much harder. Not much. Just a little bit harder. Like the average damage for a kobold is 2, average damage for a zombie is 3. The zombies are running around with, where's the zombie? Here we go. Zombies are running around with a 2d4 plus 1 physical damage on their attacks. So, that doesn't actually sound like it averages out to 3, does it? And I'm pretty sure it doesn't actually. It averages out to 6. But this attack of theirs that they're using actually takes up 2 AP because they're slow. So this is a slow, heavy attack and not just a normal attack. And they do not have a normal punch. They have to use the slow slam. So if they move twice, they cannot attack. They have to move once and then attack. They are slow. Their initiative mod is negative. They don't really have any special senses, and they are mindless. That gives them a lot of immunities, but it also makes them dumb. Really dumb. You can imagine how dumb something without a mind would be. Well, that's what we're dealing with. So as their bulwarks, they're meant to take hits. I don't expect them to be very difficult to take out on their own. They are 1 slot, so there's going to be 4 of them. We're going to bunch them together a bit more, so they actually get to the end of their target faster. Now, I suppose in a normal situation, if you just have 4 zombies in this big area, you can just leave. Like, if you don't need anything the zombies have, you could, in the game, just leave them. Like, I mean, what else? Why would you fight them? They're so slow. Well, I guess their land speed is 3, actually. I think Nox also has land speed 3. So Nox would have trouble getting away. Also, before we do... Actually, no, Nox is going to keep life, because life is going to be very useful of a prepared magic for them. Like, life is actually going to be useful. Do I want to pick up Aether? Yes, we're going to have him swap to Aether for this. We're going to say that he had a full rest. This is a new day, a new battle of zombies. And he has a bunch of other abilities here now. Actually, do I want Aether? Yes, I want Aether. You don't need him throwing ice around at the moment. Alright, so we're going to roll again. So we're going to roll for the team again. So MIDI is 4, Nox is 5, Rochelle is 3, and Sid is 4. So we have a 15 for MIDI, 18 again for Nox, so I guess Nox stays there. Rochelle got an 8, which is not very good for her. And Sid got a 13. And the zombies... since the zombies are probably not going to do much better. Because the zombies also get 8. Now, we have a tie here. So in such a situation, since the zombie has a lower init modifier, or initiative modifier than Rochelle, the zombie loses that tie. Rochelle is better at this than the zombie is. I actually have to switch. I'll attempt to switch Nox, or Midian Nox. And there we go. So Nox is actually first, and he should be in front. Rochelle and Nox should be in front, actually. So this is their formation. So Nox is first, and this zombie is in range. So he has no reason to just sit around and wait. Let's see here. What does he want to do? He wants to use Lumen Ardor. So luminous damage. Zombies are undead, and all undead are weak to Lumen Ardor. They have a vulnerability to it. One moment. Okay. So he has Beam plus Lumen Ardor, so that would give him a range of 6, and it will allow him to hit this zombie against its evasion. And as you can probably imagine, zombies are not very good at evading anything. Like, this is an evasion of 13. He is not going to miss. The zombie is vulnerable to luminous damage, which is a 50% increase to the total damage that once he rolls. So he's going to hit very hard. Okay, this zombie. So it's, first of all, it's 2d10 plus 7 against a 13. He obviously gets it. I don't think Nox could have missed that too easily. It would have been very hard for him to miss. But I guess it can happen. Anyway, so that is going to be 1d8 plus 6 damage, luminous damage. So normally it's 12. However, since the zombie is weak to luminous damage, he'll take the 12, but then he'll also take an additional 6 damage, because half of 12 is 6. So 50% increase of 12 goes up to 18 because it's plus 6, or plus half in this case. The zombie is basically cut through quite a bit. The zombie is not going to last very long, I don't think. Since with a cleric here, Nox is actually going to have a pretty good time of just destroying these zombies. So that is 2 mana for him. He doesn't have anything he can do at the moment other than he can't cast another beam spell because he doesn't have the complexity to do that. So he is just going to move forward. I'm going to move forward and actually going to move him forward here. He's going to try to be tanky. So now we're down to Midi. We were on Nox, now we're at Midi. Midi really wants to breathe fire, and these guys are probably her best chance of that because they are low evasion. So we're going to move her here next to Nox. She can totally hit all of them with her fire breath. That is a pretty good beam. So she is going to make her magic attack roll against them. Against evasion. And for once she does actually, I think she actually crit as well. So she is going to deal a lot of fire damage to these guys, and they don't resist it. That is going to be 2d12 plus 5 because of getting the crit, and that is to all of them. I think this is going to be a very fast fight. Okay, yeah, 23 damage. First of all, that is one guy dead. This guy's down. This guy is, hold on, why am I doing that? Okay. That, all of them are basically burned very badly. I need to stop doing that. Because of that really good roll. Really good damage roll. So this guy is down. I'm actually going to color them now, because I forgot to do that. Yeah, now, so red is down. That leaves blue, green, and purple. Now, obviously, there is the recharge time. 1 round again, so she'll lose next round, and that's it. Then we go to Sid. I mean, I could have her move. I could have Midi move. Actually, I'm gonna have her duck back behind. 1 AP to step forward, 1 AP to fire breath, 1 AP to step behind again. So she's just gonna stand behind and hide again. She does not want to deal with these guys. So Sid is going to move forward. He can't move as fast as Midi, but he can get there. He's actually going to stay a little bit behind so he doesn't die. Doesn't get swarmed by zombies. So he can hit blue. So he's going to dual strike against blue. So it's 2d10 plus 6, 2d10 plus 3. And he does not crit, but he does get 2 shots off. It's 1d10 plus 5. No, it's plus 1. But it's just level. 9 and 4. So blue is down. Actually, can he hit purple? Yeah, I think he can. So we're gonna move that last 4 over here, just so it's not wasted. So now blue is also dead. Hang on a moment. There we go. So blue is down, red is down, green and purple, the only ones remaining. That costs Sid 2 of his shots. He actually has 1 more shot remaining, or he can make 1 more shot because he moved and dual striked. So he has 1 more AP. So he is going to attempt to hit purple again. And I think that's actually a hit too. Yeah, the zombies only have like 14 armor. Yes, only 14. So that is also a hit. Easy enough. So that is a 16 versus 14. So he also gets... he deals 10 damage to purple. So purple is also down. Which means it's Rochelle's turn. I think this is going to be a clean sweep. Rochelle has a movement speed of 4, I think. I want to see 4. Oh no, she moves only 3. That's unfortunate. Well, it's 2 move anyway for her to get there. She's not going to rage because she does not have time. She is just going to punch it. And yeah, that's easy. That's an easy hit. She was not going to miss that. That'd be silly. Let's see here. Plus 6. 9 damage. Oh, alright, we only... Oh, wait a minute. I did not subtract, I just replaced. Now we got 9 damage. Okay, that was correct. Now he's dead. And that was all the zombies. So, initiative matters a lot, obviously. Zombies did not even get to act. They were in a group, and we had a bunch of light and fire breath. The fire breath crit was probably what did it. If that did not happen, I think these zombies would have had a chance to actually do something. But that's just sort of the luck of the dice, isn't it? If you get lucky, things can go a lot easily, and if you don't get luck and you get bad luck, things get a lot harder. But I don't think the zombies would have been too much of a threat. So, first, we're actually just going to get rid of the zombies. We're going to try something that's a bit faster that might be able to get some sort of action done. Close out the zombies. No one wants the zombies anymore. Zombies are old hat. Zombies are just old hat. We don't need more zombies. Very bad. No more zombies. Okay, so we are only an hour in. So who the heck do I throw at them? Ah, that would be next. Okay. This was a creature that the players did not like. They did not like it to fight it. Granted, it's been nerfed a bit. It's not as much of a nuisance, but Also, yeah, I suppose I should mention that the player team had exactly. Actually, I don't think any of them could do elemental damage at the time. They all had physical. Even the spellcaster only had Stone Blast as their magical attack, and that was a physical magic move. Yeah, the sniper didn't have any specialty ammo, so she only had physical shots. Actually, I think she had a fire version of her weapon, so she could deal fire damage if she needed to. So that was the only elemental damage on the entire team. We had a brawler who could only punch, and a swords, a little rogue that really only had physical knives, and a spellcaster that had no elemental damage whatsoever, just earth, rocks, and stuff. That did not go well for them. This time, however, we have Midi, who has fire, and we have Nox, who is able to deal a lot of types of damage, actually. He has all kinds of damage. He even has luminous damage, which will help against this particular creature. Because this particular creature is Mael Spore, also undead. So that'll help. Maybe my players know which creature I'm talking about. Let's see if they have a Pog. They do not. I have not fought them. I don't think they fought that creature in this arena. I think they fought somewhere else. Actually, no, it would have been in this arena. Yeah. Huh. I don't know what happened to them then. Should be here. Anyways, I'll just grab a new one. I'd rather have more of a background. Doesn't look like I have that choice. Alright, swords it is. Right, so we are dealing with haunted swords. Plural because there are two of them. They have 16 hit points. Now, we just got done with goblins, and those have even goblins have more hit points, I think. Actually, never mind. Kobolds have more, goblins only had 15. But these guys only have 16, but they're considered 2-slot creatures, meaning that for every 2 players, there is 1 haunted sword. So for this party, there would only be 2 swords. You're probably wondering, what the heck's the deal with that? The deal is that these guys have a very high amount of physical resistance, at least for this level. Each of them have 5 physical resistance. This is why they were such a big pain in the butt for the player party, for my other players. They had a good amount of physical defense or physical resistance. They hit relatively hard, and they had a lot more hit points before. And since the players could not get around that physical defense, that physical resistance, there was nothing they could really do other than pound at the swords and hope that they could take out the swords before the swords took out them. The swords themselves are listed as Ravagers. They are attackers. They hit things, and that is their thing. Their average damage is a 5 instead of a 3. This is the highest damage we have seen. They can roll roughly either 2d4s. There's a 1d8 in there. They can hit reasonably hard now. And to make matters worse, they have the ability to parry. If something tries to attack them, they can attempt to block it and deflect it. Granted, it's melee weapons specifically, and that's really only going to affect Midi and Rochelle more than Midi, because Midi can swing a few more times than Rochelle. Yeah, these guys have a lot of immunities. Of course, they're swords. They're not going to be able to bleed, or you can't trip them either. But they do have a vulnerability to luminous damage, so Nox is going to be very helpful in taking them out because they have very low HP. The main issue is going to be Rochelle and Midi, or rather Rochelle and Sid are going to have trouble actually doing anything. Rochelle has access to acid, but it's off her magic, and she's not that great at magic. So we'll see how that goes for her. Other than that, let's line up again, reload gun. Into position, the neutral position. Here we go. You have your fire breath back, which will be helpful. I'm going to keep. We're not going to re-prepare these. Life and Aether are perfectly fine for this situation. Alright, so we'll probably go back to the zombies to see what happens again. So, as we'll see. I think having a divine caster, or rather someone with access to life magic, is going to make fighting undead a lot easier for this party, since they basically have a guaranteed weakness to exploit. It is somewhat embarrassing, but it took a long time for my players in the other game to actually learn, hey, we should have other types of damage other than the physical. Actually, if I call, I think it was like level 15 where the caster finally got the natural ability to cast necrotic spell magic. So you have, that's another damage type that you can use. It took a while for them to not deal with physical resistance or get away around it. Though I think for the longest time the sharpshooter was the primary source of elemental damage because she could use specialty ammunition, so she could get fire, ice, luminous arrows, just all sorts of bullets that she could use to deal with any kind of creature with vulnerability. And she was the only source of readily available elemental magic or elemental damage for quite a while. Technically, I think at level 10 level 10 I got fed up and just started giving him stuff. It's like, okay, you need okay, I know you're not going to have X element, so here, have a wand that lets you cast fire magic. Or have a glove that throws lightning. Just have something. They're a lot better about it now. They've actually taken feats to help them get around this. The brawler can now actually punch with like fire and luminous. Though I believe they couldn't do that. They couldn't have done that prior to that point, I believe. So I'm gonna go easy on them. The Swordmaster could have picked up an arcane weapon at any point to deal different damage, but no, they did not. So here they are. Anyways, let's roll the initiative for them. The usual 4, 5, 3, 4. So Midi gets 18. Nox only gets 13, which is unfortunate. Rochelle gets 14, and Sid gets the best at 21. Which is interesting because he's probably the one least capable of dealing with these swords. Having him first might not be the best idea for him. Now for the swords themselves, they have an init mod of +5. So it's pretty good for them. And they nail it. They get a 21. They get a 22. So they go all the way up top. Nox gets brought down to the bottom, which is unfortunate for him. He does not like going last because he has the magic. Midi is 18. Oh, hang on. Don't want double swab. There we go. There we go. Hang on. That in a place where it's easier to see. There we go. Okay. So the swords actually get to go first. I believe they're reasonably quick. Okay, never mind. They have a fly speed of 4, so they can actually make a pretty decent distance. They are not actually intelligent. They're just mimicking intelligence, so they're just going to move forward. 2 AP to get there. They are not smart, but they might as well just move forward. So they are going to hit with 1 each. Each is going to try to attack with 1 stab. Or 1 slash. I'm going to give them a slash. They have multiple sort of attack types. I am going to give them just a regular. I'm going to let them use a specific stab. Just normal stab. +7 brute attack roll. And they're trying to go for these guys' armors. I think Nox is definitely going to spend a reaction to raise his shield right now because he does not want to get hit by these guys on the first play turn. So red and then blue. Okay, so red misses. Blue does actually hit, so Rochelle is going to take a hit, and that is 2d4. Yes, 2d4. And she takes 5 damage. Now Sid has an interesting problem. These things have physical resistance 5, so anything he does is going to have 5 damage docked off of it. I think he's just going to shoot around. He can't. He would have trouble hitting red because red's basically getting cover from Nox. So he's going to go for blue since he can actually shoot around there. He's just going to fire. I think that's what. Actually, does he have? Did I give him? Hey, I did. Will that help? I don't think it will. Going to be honest, does he need it? I don't think in this case he does. He could actually, you know what? It can't hurt. He's not going to hit with his last shot very easily anyway. So he's going to. Oh wait, study target is 2 HP. Okay, yeah, study target. I'm gonna. Where's the target? There we go. So now blue has been studied. Meaning that is a +1 bonus for for basically a minute against that one particular enemy. So he's going to dual strike and use. Yeah, he's just going to dual strike because that's his last action. That's all AP he has. But he has +1 now. Did I give him? He only went that far. So he's not getting any other bonuses other than the +1. He didn't get any better feats. Okay, rolling a 10 and a 17. 17 hits, 10 does not. At least I think the 17 hits. Yes, it does. So he hits once with a regular hit. And that gives him 1d10 +1. So he can roll either really well or really bad. He rolls a 2, so he rolls minimum damage. So that hits the sword, but then it just bounces right off. The sword is completely unharmed from that. Now it's MIDI. So the MIDI can't really fire breath because there are people in the way. She does not like that. He is going to try. These guys are immune to precision? They are not immune to precision. So there's a reason for her to go around. I feel like she's going to save her fire breath until later. She's first going to move into flanking melee range. This knocks the target's armor down by 1, so she's going against a 14 instead of normal 15, and she's getting sneak attack, which is what she wants. She's going to move, dual strike, and then finish with a regular strike. And And she actually crits on her last strike. Okay. Starting to wonder if the penalties aren't high enough, but we'll see. The iterative penalties specifically. So 19, 16, and 18. But the last 18 is because it has the maximum iterative penalty, but it's a natural 18, so it's a crit. Right, so... Actually, I think she hit... Yeah, she hits all 3 times, actually, so that's... Okay, so that's 1d6 plus 5, just about everything. So she's guaranteed to do something. Then 1d4. Now, sneak attack is not multiplied on critical hits, so she's not going to get any extra damage from that, but she will get normal hits. The first strike... Oh, I keep forgetting the 1d4. Just making sure that these guys are vulnerable to that. Yes, they are vulnerable to sneak attack. It's auto all over again, but we're already, it's literally just the first friggin' match, the first level. Auto being the guy on the player team for the other game that has dual strike and a bunch of the advanced features that can let him like hit 7 times in a round. This is actually going to hit hard. 14, 12, and 12 damage. First of all, she deals... So that's 9. Followed by... the 7? Is this already KO'd him? It did. Also physical damage. What would she have done if she didn't have sneak attack? She would have done 8 less damage. Which would have saved it, but there's still like Rochelle who would have just knocked it out anyway. That is interesting. I'll need to keep that in mind, because that is quite the sweep. Granted, lucky hits, but... Yeah, They're 2 slots, so they should survive a bit more than that. See, I don't know if I want to increase their hit points because they have a good amount of physical defense, so some parties would still definitely be in trouble if they fought them, but... Well, this isn't really about balancing the monsters. Well, I guess that's important as well, because that's where I'm benchmarking everything, so... That is concerning. But for now, we'll enjoy the dead sword. And Rochelle doesn't have anything to hit right now, so she is going to rage. Move up here, and she is going to attack. And that is enough to hit the sword. So she's dealing purely physical damage. Darn club. D10 plus 6. So she's guaranteed to do something. 8 damage, she does 3 damage. So So theoretically, the swords would do reasonably well. I guess it depends on the party. These swords are definitely very party dependent. Especially at level 1, where elemental damage might be a bit weird. As I've learned in the last one. I think I gave him physical defense 10 last time? Goodness. How far we've come. Anyways, let's see if we can just knock this sword out, maybe. Adjacent magic power. I'm gonna try luminous damage at 21. Definitely hits whatever defense this sword has. 1d8 plus 6 damage. 13 of that. I'm having the hiccups now. 13. So that is 6 points of overkill because 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. Rounded down to 6. So that gets bumped up to, well, 19. So the sword is also defeated. Well, shoot. I feel like obviously I need more data, but it's going to take a while to get through everyone. Well, that leaves the bees next, but I think I'm going to call it here for tonight. We've gone through quite a few battles. It's getting a little late for me. It's a shame that these battles were so kind of lopsided. I don't know, because I haven't done enough fights to know if that's because the monster's too weak or because the party was just well prepared for that or they just got lucky. I think if you get like 3 hits in a row and one of them is a crit, that is definitely some kind of luck factor going on here. Well, alright. We'll look more into it next time. For now, though, thanks everyone for watching. I hope this was at least somewhat interesting to anyone following Patchwork for any reason. And then next time I think we're going to try to fight some bees. Maybe some more things. We'll see. See you all next time.